Hello everyone, welcome to another OET writing video. So in today's video I'm going to explain to you all the criteria for OET letter writing. So as you all know, there are 6 main criterias. The first one is purpose, the second one is content, conciseness and clarity, genre and style, organization and layout, and the last one is language. So these are the criterias which the evaluators will look into when they evaluate your letter. Okay, so let's see each one in detail. Okay, so I think many of you might have already aware of it. Like, your letter will be assessed by 2 evaluators, and none of the evaluators will know each other what the score they have given to you. And as I have said, the first criteria is purpose. Okay, so purpose is very important in OET letter writing. Okay, the purpose should be immediately apparent and sufficiently expanding to the reader. Okay, that means your evaluators should easily able to understand and identify the purpose of your letter. Okay, so once you have identified and understood what the purpose is, you also need to be able to show it in your letter. Okay, so this involves creating an introductory sentence and using the right verbs to signal to the reader the purpose of your letter. So how we write the introduction is like, I'm writing to refer Mr. X who requires. Okay, you can write the purpose as who requires, what the patient requires, why we are writing the letter. That should come in the purpose. Okay, and purpose should be, as I have said, immediately apparent. It should be clear. If the reader is a dietitian, and the purpose should be related to that dietitian. If your reader is a dietitian and you are writing something related to dermatology in the purpose, that is completely wrong. You need to understand why we are writing the letter, why you are writing the letter, and whom you are writing the letter. Based on that, you need to identify the purpose from the case note. Okay, and the second main thing is regarding the content. Okay, how to choose the right content. I have done many videos in my another YouTube channel, which you can go and follow them. So deciding what information you have to put in your letter, that is very important. Okay, so you need to select the relevant information and irrelevant information when you read the case note. Okay, so it depends on the reader. Basically, it depends on the reader and the purpose of your letter. So choosing the right information will depend on what the audience or what the reader will need to continue caring for the patient. Okay, so what the reader is supposed to do next for this patient, that should be in your mind when you select the content. Okay, so you also need to be able to accurately represent the case notes by transforming them into complete sentences and keeping the meaning of the same. Like, in the case note, whatever is given, you can you can give a meaning to it, and you can make it as a full sentence and write it in your letter. Okay, so you need to add all the necessary information which is needed for the reader. Okay, and you should avoid what is not required. Okay, so that's about the second purpose, second criteria. And when it comes to conciseness and clarity, we need to see whether unnecessary information is omitted so that the letter is an effective summary for the reader. Okay, so instead of picking what information you need in the letter, you need to decide what information is unnecessary and should be left out. Okay, as I have discussed earlier, you will need to be able to identify irrelevant information such as repeated information and content that will not help the reader provide care to the patient. Okay, you should avoid all the irrelevant data which is not required for your reader, and you need to concise according to that. Okay, and the fourth one is the genre and style of your OET letter. So this is like when you write a letter to another professional, it should be formal, okay? It should not be non-formal. The writing subtext reflects this and requires you to write a letter in the correct genre and with the right style, okay? To do this, you will need to understand what formal writing looks like and how to write formally, okay? So this involves knowing how to use both the right register and tone for the audience you are writing to, okay? Like sometimes the word you use, for example, if I say sometimes some students used to write like please do daily dressing. The do word there is not formal. You can just write please provide, right? That is more formal, okay? So using facts rather than judgments and starting and ending the letter correctly are hugely important to your letters genre and style, okay? So you need to understand what abbreviations are appropriate or what tone is appropriate for your reader, and it should be formal because you are writing to a medical professional, okay? So you need to maintain that standardized or formal format in your letter, okay? And the next one is regarding organization and layout, okay? So you need to organize your letter well, okay? Like yeah, every writing task is different, okay? Every letter will be organized differently, okay? Sometimes you will organize your letter like sometimes you will write your past medical history in first paragraph, sometimes you will write presenting complaints in first paragraph. It is basically yeah, it is based on the reader actually and the purpose. So you need to organize and lay out the letter based on the reader and the purpose. And you will also need to make sure you don't bury the important information, okay? You need to focus on the important information. Sometimes students used to focus on the less important information, so you need to give your 100% on the important information, okay? And the last one is regarding the language. So language is like your grammar, vocabulary, spelling, punctuation and all has, uh, yeah, it is assessed in your OET letter, okay? The evaluators will see for your grammar, your punctuation, your spelling. So you should not make any spelling mistake or punctuation errors in your letter. That's why I used to say please proofread your letter before you submit, okay? You need to read your letter each letter by letter, okay? You should not read word by word. You should read letter by letter, and you should see for any spelling mistake, any gender change, any problem with the grammar, vocabulary. Sometimes you will forget to write a, an, is, are, some grammar mistakes. You will be like you are writing it really fast because you have got only 40 to 45 minutes for one letter. So you will be very stressed, and you will be you will not be reading your letter again. So at the end, always keep 5 minutes to proofread your letter so that you can identify your spelling mistakes and grammar errors, okay? So these are the criteria which you need to follow when you write a letter. So if you focus on these criteria and start practicing your letter, you will be able to score more on your letter writing, okay? So whenever you start studying OET or before you start writing a letter, make sure that you know these criteria, because the evaluators will only look into these criteria and will give marks. All the unnecessary information or whatever you write more than this criteria, that will be just useless. So you need to focus on this criteria and write your letter, and if you fulfill these criteria, you will definitely achieve your score, okay? So I hope this video was very useful for you, and please do subscribe the channel, and I'll be back with another video soon. Thank you all.